Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm pleased and happy to moderate this session with my elite guests and experts in insurtech sector in Saudi Arabia and globally. Please, I want to welcome Mr. Yashish Dahiya, the CEO and group and co-founder of PB Fintech.
Thank you.
In India. Also with me in the stage, Mr. Muayyad Al-Fallaj, co-founder and CEO of Rasan, Miss Pretty, CEO of Tree Company, and last but not least, Mr. Andrew from Lloyd's, the regional manager of Middle East and Turkey. Mr. Andy, welcome to all of you guys. Please let me introduce myself. Faisal Khairi, I'm Laws, Regulation and Policies Division Manager, and I'm glad today to be your host for this session. In the beginning, I would like to kick off the session with a general question for all of you. Talking about the theme of this event, which is the financial reimagining financial services in Saudi Arabia. How could you describe or envision the upcoming 5 to 10 years for the insurtech sector in Saudi Arabia? Let's start with you, Mr. Yashish.
Thank you. First of all, thank you very much. My first time in Riyadh and having a very good experience. So thank you for that. And also that tells you how much I know about Saudi to kind of comment on what's going to happen in the next 5 years, but I'll still take a chance. 3-4 broad trends which are definite and are going to be happening here as well. Number one is consumer involvement in what products are right for them. As people think about pensions, healthcare, death, disease, disability, of course, motor insurance and various other products. So that's one trend which will continue. And people will do more and more DIY, so themselves. They will get more and more involved themselves, learn about the products. I think the second big trend is going to be enablement of distribution. So today's distributors who sell physically or do not sell physically, through digital enablement, will be able to do a lot more than they do today. I think the third would be the SME sector, which would not have adopted as much insurance in the past, which will adopt a lot more as time progresses. And I guess the last point I would touch upon is the government itself, because the direction the government provides will provide a lot of impetus on this, because eventually it's a regulated sector. And how much the regulator allows and how much it holds back will define how the sector evolves to a large extent. I guess those are the couple of trends.
Mr. Muayyad, thank you.
Thank you very much, Faisal. Thank you very much, Mr. Yashish and everyone. First, before I jump to the answer, just to reply, welcome abroad, Yashish in Saudi Arabia. We look to Policy Bazaar. It was the godfather when we developed our solution, and we are glad to be between you and all the talented Briti and from the UK. Back to the question, for any, I do believe from for any, the future is coming in Saudi Arabia especially. There are many factors. It's the base of innovation, base of revolution. I will start first, regulator environment. Second part, it's the infrastructure of insurer, infrastructure of the government. The third one, which is important, is the government support. I will start with just immediately that what is the future? I do believe it will be a great model globally, Saudi Arabia, for main reason. I remember if without the vision 2030, I don't believe that things will move forward. We are here. I'm here today thanks to the, in April 2016, it was launched the vision, announced the vision. And I remember the great team in Central Bank in this time, they take the advance and to adapt immediately the new technology of InsurTech. If I talk in the past and they take this movement a few years back, what is the future? It absolutely will be great based on the three main factors that I mentioned, and the most important, driven by the government support, the government initiatives and vision.
Absolutely, absolutely, Mr. Moyed. Ms.
Well,
Priti.
My vision for the industry is, first of all, thanks, valuable inputs, and I'll not repeat, but something new to make insurance a lot more inclusive, increase the participation of a much larger population in the process of insurance, and beyond the couple of mandatory products that we have, where the masses are educated a lot more to go and look for protection and securing themselves beyond the mandatory health insurance and motor insurance, right? Where people understand the role that insurance plays in their lives and proactively look for securing. We as the industry have a much bigger role to play in that, in building that knowledge and awareness with our customer base. So one is increased participation and choice from the customers. Second, I believe that there will be, thanks to the great work that the regulator is doing right now in crafting the strategy, I believe a bigger variety of ecosystem players will be playing a key role in insurance. Currently we have 3 or 4 types of players. You have the agents, the brokers, the TPAs, and the insurer. With digitization and with the right legal framework that the regulator will launch, there will be a much bigger variety and room for many other ecosystem players. The third and fourth, the third for me in terms of product, I think protection and savings. This country is now gearing up. It's a big part of Vision 2030. So a very big theme, and many insurance companies and the distribution system would look for the savings round and the PNS. And finally, I think personally, my favorite thing that I would continue to work on is how do we make insurance invisible? What role does distribution play that insurance happens in the background? Customers really do not have to go through a long, cumbersome process to get themselves insured and protected. And that's where the distribution, the embedded insurance will become very, very important to make insurance invisible at the point of sale, totally visible and present when it comes to claims.
Exactly,
So
absolutely.
these are my 4 themes.
Thank you, Ms. Priti. Mr. Andy, please.
Well, I'm not sure there's too much more to say. But I was at one of the sessions earlier today when His Excellency Naji Al-Tamimi was saying that too much regulation and you stifle innovation. Too much innovation, you risk sabotaging regulation, if you like. And I think that articulated it really, really well. I think that in a market like this, which traditionally you've had very, very low insurance penetration, the only way you're going to deal with that is by using InsurTech. You cannot access people to sell low ticket value insurance through inefficient, multiple stage distribution channels.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Andy. I'm gonna ask you, Ms. Yashish, regarding BB business strategy. So we've heard that the shifting from motor insurance and selling life and health insurance to through the channels of InsurTech were so beneficial for your business. Could you elaborate more in that regard?
Sure. So today, 83% of our sales is retail, health, and life. And I think that's at odds with most of InsurTech globally, because most of InsurTech globally would have 80% motor. And whether you look at Europe, US, or anywhere else in the sector. And I think InsurTech has focused, rightly so, on just the digital aspect of insurance. For us, from the word go, it was the bigger problem. The bigger problem actually is not whether cars are insured or not. The bigger problem is whether people have pensions, whether people, if they die, they have money. The bigger problem is if they fall sick and go to hospitals, can middle-class families take the cost of that hospitalization? And so that being the bigger problem, as I called it at Policy Bazaar, it was a problem nobody wanted to speak about, yet it was a very big issue that existed there. So we've persisted the last 17 years or so, educated people about that, spent a lot of time, a lot of money doing that. And today, thankfully, health insurance is bigger in India than motor insurance. And life insurance is obviously much, much bigger. So it's a process, it takes time. The second thing we have done is we did not shy away from having a combination of digital and physical assets. What that meant was, if I know a customer is willing to buy, I want to have the highest quality interaction with them. If that highest quality interaction is through a mobile app or a website, that's okay. But if the highest quality interaction is meeting face to face and discussing, that's also okay. And we have to be, India is a very big country like yours. And what that means is complexity. Thousands of employees spread across 300 plus cities, speaking in multiple languages. We had to embrace that. While being a tech player, we had to embrace that also to create success. Not for ourselves, but for the category. And I think if you wanted to do that here also, somebody would have to do that.
Exactly, exactly. That's what I'm thinking about. Maybe the private sector will jump to sell health and life insurance soon.
And I think the regulator will also need to think about enabling that. I don't know the regulation right now, but I think that area would have to be enabled. You know, digital and physical working together would need to be enabled.
Exactly. Talking about regulation, I'm moving to you, Mr. Muayyad, and my question is regarding the regulations, let's say challenges that you are facing as an insurtech in the Saudi market.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see today, as I mentioned, three main. There are other factors that we call it blocks is important for any great insurtech environment. However, regulator is one important part, regulatory environment. The second part, the infrastructure of insurance company. If we look to the regulatory environment, I totally agree with Andrew, what he mentioned in the beginning about too much innovation. Startup, they are always looking to the technology advancement, a new technology that create great value for the end user, as Pretty mentioned as well. So this is the focus, is centric, customer-centric, that the focus of all insurtech with the new technology. Regulator, I'm wearing hat of regulator, that a lot of technology and at the same time it's a lot of risk and consumer protection. So these three triangles, I would call it, it's like it doesn't have a point where they contribute and they agree between each other for one reason. Number one is that regulator still that to make the decision, it takes time. A lot of innovation with one entity of regulator that it will delay product approvals, movement to the new technology, movement to the new solution across the value chain. Today in Saudi Arabia, for example, most of the focus, I would call it the innovation or the digitalization is focusing in the distribution, not in the whole value chain of insurance. Back to the challenges, that's why a few days ago or 2 days ago, it was a great announcement from the Insurance Authority creating a sandbox for only the insurtech. That absolutely, I totally believe about that. It will push and will give more boost for innovation and adapt and accelerate the digital adaptation in the market. We are the market, the end user, the population here in Saudi Arabia is 90% it's digital adoption. We must convert completely to the digital, giving access, giving support for a broker, support for a startup company to do more innovation, not to create more obstacle or controls that it might minimize the expansion of innovation.
Exactly, exactly. Totally agree with you, Mr. Moyed. Regarding the sandbox for the insurance sector, it was a great step for the insurance authority, and it's going to enable all and lighten up all the requirements for the innovations coming to Saudi Arabia, exactly in the insurance sector. Speaking of the activities or the innovations that we are facing here and dealing with this era. So, Ms. Preeti, you have a unique kind of business model, let's say, operating here in Saudi Arabia, which is digital insurance. Could you please tell us more about what environment do you wish for those kind of activities to be adapted in Saudi Arabia?
So the journey of Tree started a little over 2 years ago, and when our parent company, Taunia, envisioned Tree, it was obviously something they wanted to do as an independent digital insurance company that had full autonomy for the entire value chain, from risk to managing customers till the end. However, at that time, the regulations were not in place to license a digital insurer. And what we had as an arrangement, because the regulator was very open to supporting and developing learning in the process. So over the last 2 years, that's what we've accomplished. Just 2 days back at this event, we received our full license as the first MGA here. And that allows us to confidently manage a big part of the value chain, from product development, the whole innovation we do around it, as well as the distribution and customer management. This is a step towards the eventual framework for becoming a digital insurer. So, where a big part of the innovation would also be what we build and at what price points we sell and what kind of risks we are willing to take. That cannot be the appetite, and the mindset cannot be the same between a large incumbent and a young digital player. This is the next step of the enablement that we are working with very closely with the regulator, and we are confident that Tree would be a pioneer. Once we set the way for something like this, many more digital players that come in after that will find that the regulation is ready for them, that the infrastructure is available, and their path to launching and to success would be much shorter, hopefully much faster, and a lot easier than what it has been for us for the last 2 years.
Exactly, exactly. And
that's I think, teething problems of a pioneer, but once we do that, it helps the rest of the industry in future.
Totally agree with you. Moving to you, Mr. Andy, and welcome to Riyadh.
Thank you.
I know you've had a really long flight to come here, and we are welcoming you today. And my question is regarding the improvement of insurance penetration. Honestly, the insurance industry has historically had low penetration ratio in GDP. So how can fintech innovations help to improve and increase the insurance penetration in the Middle East?
Yes. Well, I'd like to talk a little bit from the point of view of Lloyd's, because we're very much a commercial and specialty insurer. So when you're talking about personal lines, it's really about distribution. It's about how you get to the customer effectively, simply, to your point, Preeti, making it invisible at the point of sale. Now, when you're talking about commercial lines, whether it's Riyadh or whether it's Abu Dhabi or Dubai, where I come from, the big commercial risks are all insured. But typically SME is almost uninsured. Almost uninsured. So in commercial lines, tech has two roles to play. One is the distribution. How do you get to people who maybe haven't ever bought insurance make it easy to understand, make it easy to buy, make it invisible. I love that phrase.
Thanks.
But the other part is in the assessment and pricing of risk. If you're trying to expand into largely either underinsured or not insured segments of the market, underwriters have a huge problem in actually understanding what are the risks and how do I price them. If you go back even 5 or 10 years, I live in Dubai, so we all remember about 3 months ago what happened in Dubai. The sky fell in.
Yeah.
Insurers simply had no idea of perceiving 5, 10 years ago that any part of the Gulf could be considered a catastrophe-prone region. And it certainly is now. So the use of tech, and you're seeing a huge amount, in Lloyd's we have something called the Lloyd's Lab, which is a tech incubator. And a huge number of the tech firms going through the lab are about the assessment and pricing of risk using data.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Andy. Going back to you, Mr. Ashish. My question is regarding the digital and phygital integration. How is PB FinTech leveraging digital and phygital approaches, particularly in the use of AI?
Yeah. See, AI is all about how much data access you have. The more data you have, the more you can derive from it. And that means the more customer flow you have, more you can derive from it. If you really think about it on a global scale, the biggest users of AI are Google, Amazon, Facebook. In my opinion, AI is not something that would be built in a lab without customers. It has to be tested on consumers. From that perspective, obviously having millions of customers as PB FinTech has helped, because a large part of the Indian middle class is coming to the platform. A significant part is buying from the platform. When we talk about, and this is a very important thing which I would like to say from a regulatory perspective also, because historically we've had a physical industry. The processes and the trust structures were built for the physical industry. But in reality, for many of those, actually the digital industry is a little more verifiable and a little more robust. And so the trust can actually be higher at times. And so our quality checks are far stronger in the implementation and the checks when we have physical meetings compared to when we have either a customer on the website or a customer having a conversation in a recorded fashion. Because, see, when a person, I'll try and explain what I mean, right? When a person goes and meets somebody, the conversation they have is unique to them. And it's in a black box, and nobody else knows what conversation happened. And thus, having some verification of that conversation becomes essential. On the website, whatever the customer is doing is always recorded anyway. And even in the contact center, when a person is speaking on a video, it's all recorded. It's regulatorily recorded. So our highest implementation of fraud detection, while all those parts are already sorted, and leveraging AI for that, is actually in the physical side, to try and see that whatever is being communicated there is verifiable, so quality does not deteriorate. And actually what our data is also pointing out, that if there is risk coming from a consumer protection point of view, it's actually much higher in the physical channel, even in PB FinTech,
Yes.
where our tracking becomes weaker than in the digital channel. So it's just something to kind of think about as we think about regulation for the future.
Exactly, exactly. It's a really good point that we should consider in the upcoming rules and regulations. Mr. Muayyad, I'm going to ask you a question regarding the market currently. And how does the resistance of traditional insurance companies are making a challenge for the sector as a whole to improve and go to the tech way or the technology side of selling channels?
Thank you, Faisal. Good question. I will go first to what Andrew mentioned as well about risk assessment. Let's look to the value chain of any insurers in the market. The most technology advancement that they are with the distribution. However, without having a balance between all this value chain, underwriting, risk assessment, and claim processing, and others, that it will not have the final great success output for main reason. When one insurance company integrate with 12 or 13 broker, and many digital, their own through digital channels. And they don't have the right underwriting. They don't have the lack of capability in the underwriting, lack capability of risk assessment. Consider whatever you are doing, they will not reach the target. We face challenges in Tamini, for example. We have around 12 products in the shelves, ready to be launched. We are not able to launch it. Insurer not able to handle these extensive product in once. Lack of no clarity about what is the risk is coming from this one, and the underwriting itself. Doing the balance between all of this, as I mentioned, building, focusing in the infrastructure, developing a product, doing the balance between the value chain of the insurance. I do believe this is the most step that we should take further to have a great result and open doors for all insurtech industry.
Absolutely, absolutely, Mr. Mayed. Ms. Preeti again. So we've heard about a new insurance product, the pets insurance product.
Yep.
And since you are like offering and selling this product through Tree, could you please talk a little bit about this product and how the idea comes to you once created the product?
So last year, beginning of last year, when we were looking at what our product roadmap would look like, we obviously had some of the usual suspects. The motor insurance, the health insurance, you need all of those mandatory products to pay bills, right? And to have the cash flow. But we were also very clear that as Tree, we have to bring to market something that doesn't exist and needs that are not yet being fulfilled by the established insurers. One of the very obvious answers that came to us was pet insurance. It's not available in Saudi Arabia. It was not available until 2 weeks back when we launched it in Saudi. But it's not rocket science. It's a product that's available in many parts of the world, and it's something that many pet parents are using actively for years now. But it was something that wasn't here. We also did our research and saw that there's a growing adoption of pets here. There are more than 1.5 million cats and dogs that are currently in Saudi Arabia, but there was no form of protection available for them. Combine that with the rising costs of the veterinary services and all the pet treatments. Now, the possibilities or the impact on pet parents' wallet was increasing. So our research very clearly said that there was a demand for this, that people wanted it, and they were willing to pay for the services. Plus, I think one of the bigger reasons we did it was the team feels very passionate about it. We have a lot of very happy pet owners in the team as well.
Yeah.
And we could see that this could be a true differentiator for us. While we did the staple products, we would have our own unique positioning in the market as well.
Well, thank you, Ms.
So if you're a pet owner, or any of you here is a pet owner in Riyadh, then please, by all means, go and try out a little bit of my marketing for pet insurance.
Hopefully. Thank you, Ms. Preeti. My last question, Mr. Andy. From your point of view, as a global perspective, what lessons should we adapt in the insurance sector in Middle East and particularly in Saudi Arabia to enhance and develop and improve?
Just be open. Really, I mean, I don't think there's anything, I mean, I'm very conscious of time. It's just gone red down there. But I think I've only been in here since yesterday afternoon. Had a brief conversation with the regulator this morning, and I just feel that everything is going in the right direction. I mean, I've been in the region 30 years, and I've never seen so many reasons to be positive about what's going on in the insurance market in this region. For me, the stars are aligning. You've got incredibly powerful economies. You've got regulators who are very conscious of the role that insurance plays in a thriving economy. And you've got a marketplace which is increasingly ready to the concept of insurance, the value of insurance. So for me, it is all about delivering it efficiently and making sure that customer protection is front and foremost, whether it's an individual motor insurance or it's the largest commercial client.
Exactly, absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Andy, and thank you all my guests today. We have the pleasure to have you all, and thank you for the attendance and for being here, sharing with us this insightful thoughts and ideas regarding the InsurTech. Thank you all.
Thank you.
And see you in the next
very
event.
much.
Thank you.